Hi, Karim. Karim, thank you very much for joining this a very non-formal podcast where we talk about futuristic luxury. We talk about what are the challenges happening. We basically create a conversation about a global luxury scene, what's happening right now. And thank you very much for joining today. I really appreciate your time. And I would really request you to give you a little bit of small bio for to let everybody understand who you are, what's your background a little bit, and then we'll start a very, I think, very progressive conversation. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shazad, to welcome me on this podcast. Yes. Just to give you a short background, I'm a 35 years, experienced marketer. I started my career in the fast-moving consumer goods, in the advertising agencies, and then I moved on to, of course, ready-to-wear brands as a direct marketing manager, and I continued as a head of visual merchandising for other sportswear brands, and I moved on to luxury brands later on with roles and responsibilities of trade marketing and visual merchandising, and I started to work with, of course, renowned fashion design school, and later on I decided to set up my own consultancy office. I am today working with several fashion designers, labels, and as well luxury brands. And I give them training, I give them consultancy, and as well, okay, yes,
Excellent.
some
Excellent.
more some more, yes.
Yeah, no, no, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you, Karim. Thanks a lot for your quick bio. Very impressive one, by the way. Um, let's talk a little bit about the luxury fashion industry on a, I would say, let's talk about let's take it from Europe. Uh, let's take it from Europe, and then we talk on a global level. But let's start talking about the industry of fashion within the luxury domain, and how it's evolving within the Europe to start with. Um, I have a feeling that fashion industry in Europe have been suffering a little bit for the last, I would say, around 2 to 3 decades. But do you see now a little bit of opportunity for the fashion industry within the Europe, luxury fashion industry? And if you see that, what do you think? Why? What are the areas you think, if there is a chance, if you see that?
Mm. Thank you for this question. Yes, Shazad, I truly think that things are changing, and you're right. It's been, let's say, 2 decades that things are really moving on quickly due to external factors, due to, of course, internal factors in Europe, due to, of course, cultural factors as well that have changed a lot things, and due to, of course, a change in, of course, the behaviors.
Hmm.
The most important one, I think, for me, is a change in the nature of luxury. Okay, it's literally the end of appearance, and let's say we're moving on into the reign of substance, and substance is really important. Okay, the major shift being, of course, uh, in the value. Okay, in the value. And yesterday, we were used to buy luxury to show off our success, whereas, of course, today it's, of course, way more to affirm
Mhm.
our values, and this is important. Okay, luxury is changing for sure. The market, of course, if I go now into the figures, the market is shrinking, and we see that. Even though in Europe it's still stabilizing, let's be honest, in the rest of the world, and the market is kind of course, stabilizing and even declining slightly. And we see that, of course, big conglomerates have to totally reshift and rethink, of course, the way they used to, of course, sell their products. And we've seen the transformation as well of the language, and I see that we've been talking for years and years and centuries, sorry, about, of course, a client. Okay, now we're talking about a consumer. Yesterday we were talking about, of course, designer couture, couture créateur, and today we're talking about an artistic director. So we see that there is a change of language that is, of course, impacting this industry. And I have to say, frankly, we see more and more, let's say, brands and conglomerates willing to develop, huge profits, whereas, of course, the customer is no longer able to absorb so many, of course, so many creations a year. Okay, and there needs to be a global rethinking about all this. Yesterday we used to talk about, a, of course, a luxury good, and today we're talking about a product, and this is also another change of language. And yesterday we used to talk about luxury maison, a house. Today we're talking about a brand, and you see that all these. I mean, the market has, let's say, this luxury market has been totally changing in terms of vocabulary, and that vocabulary shows that, of course, marketing has become extremely important to the industry. But as well, there is a kind of massification, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
a kind of dilution of brands that is extremely worrying at the moment, and that can cause, of course, let's say, the total dilution and decline of specific brands.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's, of course,
I think,
something to take into
yeah,
consideration.
absolutely. You just said in the beginning when you started talking, you said something very interesting. You name a word like substance. Can you define a little bit more for us substance, especially within futuristic ultra luxury environment? I think substance is more. I think it's not on the mid market or even the prestige market or even premium market. I think substance is more demanded or no more being required within the ultra luxury futuristic domain, not with the consumer, but more the kind of connoisseurs are looking for
Mm.
substance. Can you expand
Totally.
on the, can you expand a little bit on the substance thing, what you said? What are your views on the substance aspect of futuristic designer luxury?
Substance means, of course, to me, it means, of course, something that is structural, and something that has, a real body. I have the feeling that we were used to buy products, and products that are not literally aligned with our needs, or aligned with our wants. Luxury is not about, of course, if we go back to the Maslow pyramid, the luxury goods are, of course, goods that are totally self-esteemed goods. And of course, we don't really need, of course, those products, okay, just to satisfy, of course, to please ourselves. And here, so it's really a logic of desire, and not a logic of how can I say that? Not a logic of
Of just
pure,
fulfillment. Yeah, fulfillment.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, fulfillment. Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. It's not
And
that.
we see that in those two logics that are totally opposed,
Yeah.
there is, of course, the reign of substance that, according to me, is important. I mean, desire, of course, pleasure, and all these. I mean, the customer today, and the client, the luxury client, is, of course, willing to get more, let's say, personalization, more. We used to call it, customer success, of course, management, okay? And we see that, of course, in the customer relationship management has totally changed, okay, across these last 2 decades. Yesterday we used to talk about traditional CRM, okay, customer relationship management. It has moved on to electronic CRM, social CRM, mobile CRM, and
Yeah.
then we started to talk about customer engagement management, customer experience management, and now it's about customer success management. So
Yeah.
clienteling 3.0, is literally the, let's say, the goal of this market. I mean, for brands that are willing to succeed in the future, it's all about creating those hyper personalized relationships between the luxury client and the brands, to
Absolutely.
develop
Absolutely.
one-to-one, relationships that are super valued and extremely, let's say, enhanced,
Yeah, and maybe
and
more
then
bespoke as well.
exactly more bespoke.
Yeah,
Totally,
I think
totally.
it's.
That's
How do
that's
you,
all about it.
Kareem? How do you see? Because I have a view. I'll share with you my view also, and I want to have your view as well. How do you see the future of these huge conglomerates of fashion, luxury, ultra luxury? I'm talking about. How do you see the future of these guys? And then, and you have, I think you must have seen that there is a surge of small boutique, bespoke fashion, young entrepreneurs are coming, which are becoming extremely, I would say, not only bespoke, but beyond experience. They are going more personalization, expressionism. They are very agile because of their size. They don't have to, huge, they don't need a lot of, like trillions of dollars to move around. And they're small, they're very smart, they're very intelligent. They pick
Mhm.
their clients. They do not open their doors to everyone who just walk in. They pick their
Mhm.
clients. They have a very tight customer profile, as you can say. They have a very
Yeah.
tight customer profile. How do you see a race between these two? Like one huge fashion brand, which is like for last 80 years, they have like, they have millions of already, they already have millions of designs in the market, and they have global impact, and they are huge like ships.
Mm.
Vis-a-vis, there are small, I would say small private yachts kind of things,
Yeah.
cruising like anything, and they are picking their clients, and they're making huge profitability. Their profitability is skyrocketing. So how do you see the future of these two? How do you compare them?
Yes, I'd like to say, of course, that uh, it's in, it's really, you're touching a point that is quite interesting here, because we see those small labels, okay, growing, and of course, in a more intelligent and clever way. Uh, uh, we can also talk about those quiet luxury labels, okay, that are absolutely, imposing themselves to these ultra lux clients, okay. And I see the future of luxury as being, pure quiet luxury taken to the extreme here. So those small labels, such as Le Maire, etc., they can totally, they are here to grow, and of course, it doesn't mean necessarily mean that I mean, the big bold brands like, of course, or the big conglomerates, LVMH, Kering, Richemont, L'Oréal, Puig, etc., will stabilize. No, I think they will continue to grow, but I think that there is a room for those small labels,
But
and
within that, I'm sorry, Kareem, let me intersect you because you said something very interesting. But within that, my point of view is that if they grow, these big guys, if they grow, they are shifting their clientele to a little bit lower level in order to expand their market size, because their top line is very important for them, and they're obviously, compromising on their bottom line, but they are trying to keep their top line. So my feel is, and you can share your thought. My feel is that all these big guys are shifting their client a little bit down in terms of value, and that space which is empty is captured by these small bespoke
small
ultra
yeah, yeah.
luxury labels.
Absolutely, yeah. Ultra luxury labels, bespoke, tailor-made. I would say yes, it's
And
absolutely that. I
scarcity, and
mean,
I think, and the scarcity and the uniqueability is playing a
yeah,
huge role into this. That is scarce,
yeah,
like they will have maybe one design in one dress, one bag of one
absolutely,
kind, one shoe of one kind, one jewelry piece of
yeah.
one kind. They don't have, like, like 300 pieces of one kind.
Of course. And the luxury client is really, I think, fed up about, you know, purchasing such an important or such a beautiful design and dress, and to see that that dress or that garment is also worn by another person in the street. I mean, or in an evening, of
Yeah,
course.
because yeah,
Ball.
exactly. Kareem, to me, trust me, to me, that's not luxury at all. This thing, what you just explained, it will kick you out of the luxury domain immediately. To me, there is no compromise on that.
Absolutely. Brands must absolutely stop developing so many collections, okay, that are live streamed worldwide. And of course, it's good because technology is here to amplify, let's
No, no,
say,
but that's fine. But Kareem, my point is, it's not about selling or not selling. They have, the big guys have huge numbers. So as the supermarket has huge numbers. So as the construction market has huge numbers. So as the spare parts of cars have a huge number. I'm not I'm not debating their success. I'm not debating their profitability. I'm not debating their volumes and sales numbers and their profitability. What I'm debating here is that they are exiting the luxury domain by doing so.
yeah, absolutely. And they're leaving a segment that is totally empty, and which allows, of course, those small labels, okay, small designer labels, to enter the market with, of course, a totally one-to-one, let's say, relationship with the client, and yes, therefore, let's say, fulfilling the needs of those ultra luxury clients. Yes, in a better way.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
that's I think
Yeah, because like
the
my thought process is that there is a huge shift, because I think the current customer is extremely intelligent. They are extremely aware. They know exactly what they need. They know exactly where to spend their money. They do not need they do not need a label to they don't need another brand. They see what is happening with young customers and the futuristic connoisseurs are, they do not need a validation of a brand to prove their thought process,
yeah,
because
right.
they don't need that validation from a watch, from a bag, or from a glasses, or from
Mhm.
from a jewelry piece or a dress. They don't need that validation because they themselves are validated enough. What they need
Mhm.
now, and you can definitely share your comment on that, to my understanding, what they need now is basically some product, some service, which becomes an extension of their personality and their thought process.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. They are willing to the brands to anticipate their wants and their needs, and they want, let's say, that those young designers brands, okay, are getting closer to who they are,
Yeah.
to what they like, and to what they wish, okay,
Yeah.
and of course that's it. Yeah.
That's it. Well, let me take you a little bit on the next level now. Let's talk about something else which is more interesting. What do you think? So, with this discussion, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, with this discussion, I believe there is a huge gap and an opportunity for new ultra luxury, bespoke, expression driven luxury fashion. I think there is industry, there is a huge gap for that, and there is a huge opportunity because of that gap. There is a huge opportunity comes for our young luxopreneurs, if you want to say that, that they can capture it, and there is a huge opportunity there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if they, I think the success of those young entrepreneurs, I mean, will come from, of course, according to me, four important trends. Number one, of course, sustainability. That will be no longer, of course, a marketing option. It's
Absolutely.
not greenwashing, but it's purely,
It's given.
a
I
new
think it's
standard.
given. It's prerequisite to my understanding.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and we've seen, of course, by mid brands or bigger brands, of course, the integration of, let's say, mushroom leather, pineapple leather, etc., lab grown diamonds with neutral carbon, of course, that could be that, okay. I see as well for these young luxepreneurs, of course, the rise of quiet luxury, as we mentioned it, and I think that this will become extremely important in the future. What I see as well, and what I think will really revolutionize, let's say, this industry for those young luxepreneurs is clearly, let's say, no more logos, that
Yeah,
trend of no more
exactly.
logos, but
Exactly.
of course, a real story regarding trackability. Blockchain will become important, okay,
So
and
technology.
will reign.
So the
Uh,
first part
uh,
is sustainability. Second could be technology.
yeah, exactly. And through blockchain, of course, and the ability to give pure trackability of the artisan and what the artisan is, of course, who was the last artisan to touch the product, to let's say design the product, etc. What is the sourcing of the product, etc., etc. I see as well that, of course, there is another important shift, which is, of course, a technological shift. And I think that those young luxepreneurs will, of course, need to integrate that level of technology. Technology becomes extremely important, and of course, will enable those young luxepreneurs, okay, to go beyond reality, of course, with Web 3.0, with AI, okay. That, of course, will become the ultimate concierge with holograms, metaverse, NFT, multiplicity of e-payments, AR, VR,
Yeah.
mixed reality, 3D, 4D printing. All these will clearly, let's say, become a necessity to
Yeah.
be integrated
Absolutely.
those
Absolutely.
young entrepreneurs. That's of course important. What I also believe is that the ultimate luxury, of course, will be human centric. Very, very important.
Personalization.
Uh, exactly, because we were talking about technology just before, and but I strongly believe that there is an important room and role for, of course, the designer himself and the human, and that the company, the brand, need to be, of course, the luxury maison needs to be totally human focused, human centric, and that time and space will become, of course, extremely important regarding scarcity, and of course, that's, of course, something that the luxepreneur will need to take into consideration when, of course, dealing and, let's say, talking to the luxury client.
Yeah, I think you nailed it very. I think it's very impressive what you just shared with me. It's very. I think it's very valuable for people who can listen to this. I think this is something extraordinary what you just shared with us, these 4 points. And at Future Connoisseur, if you go to our website, for example, we talk about the architecture of futuristic luxury is dependent on 5 verticals, and these verticals are craftsmanship, technology, personalization, sustainability, and non-commercialism. I think the last
Mm.
point, which you talk about time and space, it got into the non-commercialism because you can't be anywhere and everywhere all the time. Rather than you have to be at the right time, at the right place, in front of the right people.
Yeah, indeed, indeed.
So I think this is I think this is the part of the futuristic luxury coming on. Last 1 or 2 questions, and maybe we can talk about a little bit of. Uh, I want to talk about a little bit on the part of, since we're talking more about fashion. I want to converse a little bit about online versus offline uh, buying habits, like brick and mortar and then online, and then look, so nowadays you can create a 3D. We just talked about technology. You can create a 3D 4D VR example of a dress. You can take your picture. You can have an app that on a mobile. That dress, you can look in your mobile phone. You can look yourself wearing the dress, walking the ramp. You can feel everything. You know exactly what size you need. Even the rings, even the diamond rings are being sold there. But there is a human factor at the end of the day. We are not machines. Yes, we can use this technology, but at the end of the day, there is a aura, there is a sense, there is a feel, there is a breathe, there is a thought process involved into all of this. How do you see a future of ultra luxury, again I'm talking about, and futuristic ultra luxury coinciding between online and offline experiences and expressions of connoisseur and the brand lines which these guys will create?
Very, very important question. Yes,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Uh, yes, I would like to tell you my strong belief. Uh, it is that, of course, digital will become even more important in the future. We're today around 23% of the market, okay, being, of course, of the luxury brands being bought online, okay, and you have let's say, the rest, okay, being more physical. I think that by the end of 30, it's Bain and Company that confirmed it. Okay, the market will be 33% online, and the rest of the market will be offline. Okay, and what I see in the future, we will reach that level. That is, of course, let's say digital adoption life cycle. Okay, when of course half of the market will be online and the other half offline, and 50% online, 50% offline means that brands, of course, will become progressively omni-channel. That level of omni-channel, okay, is so important in order to create those seamless experiences, okay, with the customer, either if he started his journey online or if he ended, of course, offline. It's super important to create those frictionless experiences for the luxury customer.
But let's but
What I
let's talk about.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to cut you off, but because there is
yeah,
a thought coming, but which said is something very interesting, and I didn't want to lose the thought. Now, since we talk about ultra luxury, things we think the way we talk about personalization and bespoke expressionism,
absolutely.
how much technology, or for example, online sales, because like for example, there is a lady who want to order like maybe 300,000 or 300,000 dollars worth of wedding dress. She want to order a designer bespoke one. Do you think she will go online only for that, and she will just close the deal online? Will she
In
not
the future,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
future?
sorry.
In the
In the
future?
future, she will go online. Uh,
Oh, okay.
I have to tell you the reality of the experiences online. Online luxury is, according to me, disappointing. When you go online on a website, all websites look exactly the same. This is the same frame. Uh, this is, of course,
The same
the
technology,
screen. Exactly the same technology. There is nothing that
same software,
cultivates.
same software. Everybody's using the same software.
Exactly. So this, according to me, is really poor in terms of expression of the brand, and it doesn't enable brands to literally cultivate their unique selling proposition or their point of
Absolutely.
difference. Here
Absolutely.
we have everybody, aligned on the same screen, which doesn't provide me, that sense of uniqueness. So in the future, I think that, web designers and UX designers will, of course, need to optimize those experiences online, because the customer, the more we will progress in time, the more the customer will be young. Okay, that young little prince, okay, will of course surf online and will need, of course, that physical, let's say, experience, but as well, I think he will look more and more for an extraordinary, let's say, digital experience, which is not the case
Not the
today.
case as
I
of
mean,
now. Yeah.
brands will need to differentiate themselves online, and I think this is the next challenge of the next couple of years, okay, coming, okay, and let's say in 10 years' time, I mean, brands will be extremely innovative online. Virtual taste, virtual touch, virtual smell will appear on our screens. And of course, let's say it frankly, brands will invent, let's say, the future of digital. And if there is an industry that needs
Very
to be
interesting.
extremely focused on that, it's really luxury
It's
to
very
develop those
interesting.
experiences.
No, what you just said is very, very interesting. Very, very, I would say, very insightful, very interesting. Because I have a different view than yours. Because I believe that more you become bespoke, the more you become on the ultra luxury, the more you become human, the more the human touch is required, human aura is required. I think we are like the more you go, like for example, I'll give you an example why I think like this. And I totally understand and agree to a great extent what you just said, by the way, because I think it's very insightful what you just said to me. My point of view is the more financially independent you are, the more you are on the top 1% on a global level, the more human you become, the more important is your
True.
aura, your self health is more important, your environment is more important, your lifestyle is more important, your wellness, your longevity. These are the things which are of the most top optimum optimum level of preferences for these top level, because they have the wealth, they have the opportunity, they have the access. What they really need is their brain and their body to be elevated, to be longevity, wellness, self-care. When these things come on the top of it, especially wellness, longevity, and then I feel that the more you go in the future, you will see lots of people want to touch things, want to feel things. They want to see in the eyes of the designer who have created them. Designer wanted to see what kind of smile or what kind of sparkle in the eyes of these connoisseurs have when they see the first time their ring or their watch or their dress or their shoe. And then there will be a conversation between one piece, whether it's a watch or a ring or a dress, and then the final product will emerge as a real bespoke, personalized, tailor-made, one unique piece on a global level for one person. And that's where I
Yeah.
believe technology will help them. But I think ultimate, it will be a person to person, a human to human interaction will win at the end.
Mm. That's interesting, Shazad, because you're let's say let's say foreseeing the future as a kind of way back to the good old years of the 1850s,
Absolutely.
yes, when luxury was, of course, and haute couture was bought and was developed by, of course, the designer that was, of course, coming to the house of the customer and, of course, developing a totally unique dress or unique garment for her, for him. I agree. But I think we don't have to forget that here we're talking about the top of the pyramid, okay, which is
Yes.
the 1% of
I'm
the
talking about
luxury.
1%. Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
and, and we're totally on the same line, you and I, because I think that for those ultra privileged customers, it will be this for sure. Okay, they need that human interaction. It's not even a touch; it's a human interaction
Interaction.
that is
Absolutely. Conversation. Yeah.
from A to Z, part of the customer journey. They want to
Absolutely.
be totally, let's say, driven by the designer and by, of course, the CRM person that will come contact them. Okay, so it's even personal shoppers that will
Yeah.
come and of course assist them. Okay, that's exactly this. Whereas I'm also thinking about the other, younger generations that are coming, and of course extremely rapidly to the luxury consumption. By 2030, 85% of the luxury consumption will be driven by extremely young people, so from millennials to Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
General.
And it means that they will have totally different ways of purchasing. Online is a second nature to them. And
And I think, I'm sorry, but I think the definition of luxury will be defined by them, not by you and me, or not even by the brand.
yeah, totally, totally. They will probably favor things that are more physical. Even though I truly believe, and my reference is a movie from Steven Spielberg. Okay, it's Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And when you see that movie, you're like, my God, if this is the future, wow. Okay, what is the place of luxury goods inside those gamings and etc. This is live through a virtual reality mask and headset, and I have the feeling that the more we progress in time, the more we will go into that. But this doesn't exclude the top of the pyramid that will continue to purchase, of course, physically. It's just how to attract those young generations to this, of course, type of one-to-one relationship. I think that the more we will progress, the more we will need to create those
Absolutely.
passovers between one and the other.
Absolutely. Kareem, I think it was a very interesting conversation. I loved it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No,
Thank you,
no.
Shazad. It was a pleasure.
No,
It
no,
was a
thank you
pleasure.
very much. I think it's a great. Thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot from you today, and I think this conversations. I wish we could have more conversation like this, but we will have more conversation like this because I think it's very, very interesting, and I'm really impressed with your knowledge, your experience, and the way, because a lot of people have a lot of knowledge and experience, but they mostly cannot explain and kind of explain the whole process the way, the kind of clarity you gave with a lot of in-depth information. That is much appreciated. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Shazad.